it's kind of that time where you're in this void of no light, but that's where creativity happens. That's where like creation happens. Like seeds like burst open in the deep soil where there's nothing. And so the new moon for me is like, it's my favorite time. I was born on a new moon. I love the new moon. But that's when you want to call in and you want to create because it's just that fertile soil time.
Welcome to the Healing Cocoon. I'm Jacoby Gray, soul alignment and success coach and energy healer, which means I can intuit the subtle layers of your energy field to promote ultimate health and well-being. My goal for this podcast is to shed light on the healing journey itself and help you feel more supported as you embark on the process of unpacking your past to consciously create your present and start living the life of your dreams. Through the study of coaching, kinesiology, holographic kinetics, meditation, Reiki, the chakra system, and many other modalities, I've learned how to release the blocks that were holding me back. Now I'd love to help you do the same. By embarking on your own self-healing process, you'll see the world transforming around you in ways you never thought possible. You'll begin to experience more connection, clarity, love, fulfillment, synchronicity, and success than you've ever had before. So welcome to the Ascension. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back to the Healing Cocoon podcast. Today is a really exciting episode because we're talking with one of my good friends, Kaitee Tyner, who I also met at my yoga teacher training. I know if you've listened to past episodes, you've heard that I have interviewed quite a few people from my teacher training, and there is still more to come because it was such an incredible group of people that came together, and I made lifelong friends who all have had these beautiful healing experiences and now use the tools and the gifts that they got through that experience to help others, which is what the Healing Cocoon podcast is all about. So today we're speaking with Kaitee, who is the founder of Moon Body Soul, which is a holistic self-care company offering small batch, all natural products, self-care tools, ethically mined crystals, and so much more. And her passion is empowering others to truly care for themselves through mindful movement, meditations, and self-love practices, which are all inspired by the healing energy of the moon, hence Moon Body Soul. She's got more than 10 years of experience guiding people into their bodies with yoga and meditation and has been leading women's new moon circles for over 5 years now. Kaitee is also an avid crystal miner, and I have been with her and mined crystals with my bare hands, which was such an incredible experience. And she's a lover of rocks, minerals, crystals, all the things. These beautiful gifts from Mother Earth have helped her to find a deeper connection to herself and a oneness with the universe. So without further ado, my beautiful friend, Kaitee.
So I feel like, there's been stages throughout my life that I've come in and out of, but the biggest one that kind of was a catalyst for this part of my life was in 2015. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, an autoimmune condition of your thyroid. And at the same time, I also was waiting tables and I split my hand open and just, it felt like my life was crumbling. I cut a tendon and a nerve, and then I got diagnosed with that, and just a lot of things happening all at once. And when I got that diagnosis, I kind of realized, like, man, what I'm putting on and in my body is so important. And it made me reevaluate my cosmetics, my food, just everything. And one of the big things was my bath products. And that's kind of what like catalyzed me into starting Moon Body Soul, by trying to find that all natural product.
Wow. So first of all, what is Hashimoto's for those of us who don't know? I have a few friends who actually have been struggling with it, but I'd love for you to tell our audience.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. I feel like it's one of those things that once you start hearing about it and I've realized so many people I know have it or know somebody that has it, but it's an autoimmune condition. I kind of don't like the way that Western medicine describes it because they say it's your body attacking itself. And I don't know, energetically, that just feels like it's not very empowering because, like, why would you want to attack yourself? But you have antibodies present when you do a blood test, and it just means something is attacking your thyroid, which your thyroid, here in your throat chakra. It produces all of your hormones, and it's the one that tells your hormones where to go. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm probably getting this all wrong. But
Just
yeah,
enough. A general idea
yeah,
is
it
good.
basically is a autoimmune hormone condition.
Right. And so were you able to get that under control through, was it diet or changing everything, like all of your products that you were putting on your body? Like, how did you get to a position of
So
management?
a big reason of why I was looking at the products and also what I was eating was because um, a lot of things are estrogen mimickers. So estrogen is one of the dominant hormones, and a lot of stuff with petroleum-based ingredients like dyes and synthetics and fragrances, anything that's a petroleum-based ingredient, um, will mimic estrogen in your body. And so I cut all those things out. Definitely helped. Also with the diet, I cut out gluten because it looks a lot like that antibody, and it can help. It definitely helped me. I noticed a huge difference in my symptoms. Yeah, I've just changed a few things like that, but I've had kind of waves of it where I'll be doing better. And I think the biggest thing has been stress control and understanding like how under stress my body gets with my cortisol level rising. I feel like it just, all the hormones get wrecked from there. So I think that's been the biggest realization I've had probably in the last year is wow, stress actually is probably one of the most important factors that you think you can't control, but you can control it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even the body being in a fight or flight state, that's something that I've been working through lately, just really kind of becoming aware of when my body goes into its old pattern of adrenaline just rushing. And I can get so much more done, but it's in this highly strung, anxious state. And so I'm trying to retrain my body to learn how to relax and stay in my parasympathetic nervous system, but still actually feel motivated to get stuff done when I am relaxed. It's a really
Oh my
interesting
gosh, yes,
balance.
that's the balance I'm trying to seek. But I do feel like, so I lived in LA for the last 6 years, and we just moved out here into the mountains. And I feel like that shift was the biggest shift. Wow, I was living in that fight or flight state. I was getting a ton done in that fight or flight state in the city. But
Yeah, I know how
yeah,
much you were getting done. You were so crazy
I
busy.
was getting so much done, but it was out in that state, and I'm realizing now that I need to find that balance of what can I get done in a calm, grounded place.
And so, do you think that at the point your world kind of imploded, you got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, your hand was cut open, were you forced to stop at that point, or did you keep going and pushing through?
So I was forced to slow down to an extent. I did push through though. When you go through something like that, I was dealing with like a workers' comp situation because that accident happened at work. You don't get enough money to live. So I had to continue working, even though I wasn't supposed to be. So I definitely was still pushing, but it was like a big slowdown. And there was a week there where like I physically couldn't do anything. So I was
Yeah,
forced to slow down,
yeah.
but unfortunately I was also still working pretty hard.
And so, do you think, like, leading up to the Hashimoto's, it was simply because you weren't listening to your body and you weren't allowing yourself to relax? Do you have any idea why you got into that space?
I'm not sure. They say some of it could be genetic. And I do see like symptoms in my mom and my sisters as well. Um, but honestly, I don't know. I just think that the fact that so many women that I know around my age range are getting it, I feel like there could be environmental factors as well.
The hormones.
Yeah.
When you said the estrogen, and even the fact that gluten mimics that hormone that then causes the body to attack, that's crazy because you think about gluten's in
Yeah. And
everything.
I know when I talked to my Western doctor about this, she was not under that same belief that I should. She said, your diet has nothing to do with this, which I do not agree with. But my holistic doctor, my Eastern doctor, opened my eyes to the gluten side of things. And really, like, I was devastated, but I tried it for 6 months. And I mean, it made all the difference in the world that I don't miss it. But I do
Mm.
think, call me a conspiracy theorist, um, the amount of fortified iron that has to be in all wheat here in America, like legally, they have to put it in all wheat and flour, that I feel like that's maybe the reason why so many people are having issues with gluten.
Wait, there's fortified
Yes,
iron in
yes.
flour?
So unless it's organic,
Whoa.
legally, you have to have fortified, like enriched flour. It's crazy. I'm just now opening my eyes to this. And I feel like I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist, but I'm like, why are we eating this much like heavy like iron in our diet? It's added in everything.
That's really interesting because I struggle with iron. That's one of my big struggles, trying to get my iron up because my body doesn't store it. But I haven't been eating gluten in forever because of the way it bloats me. And now I'm like, wait, maybe I need to start eating more bread.
Well, there's a couple podcasts I can share with you after this, Jacoby, that kind of broke this down for me. And again, maybe I'm like totally nutty and out there, but the work of Weston Price and this belief of like how our food system has changed over time is kind of wild. And I believe from hearing those podcasts that the iron actually isn't the only issue. There's a bunch of minerals that work in tandem. And yeah, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm diving into
Okay,
it.
well, I mean, we'll we will definitely get those podcasts and put them in the show notes because I think anybody who's interested in that can look it up. So this then started you becoming aware of what you were putting in your body, but also what you were putting on your body, started you down the track of creating your now flourishing business, Moon Body Soul. And I think I met you about a year or maybe 2 years into your business. I can't
Yeah.
remember. At that time, you had a full-time marketing job and you were building Moon Body Soul on the side. And then I think within a year or two, you announced that you were able to finally quit your job because the business had established itself, which was so exciting to watch you transform like that. And I know that that itself has led to so many more healing adventures as you've, I guess, stepped into really purifying your system, your life, your soul in alignment with the integrity of your business because it's really high integrity. Could you tell us a bit about what you do and how you got there?
Yeah, I can't believe you have really known me for most of this transition of my life of having my body soul. So yeah, it started out as the bath products, and that was my first passion was how can I create an all natural bath bomb? Because at the time in 2016, I couldn't find one that lived up to my standards. And it took me about a year to finally crack the recipe on that. And then actually now I've actually discontinued the bath bomb from my line anyways, just because of all the plastic that's involved in the bath ball. So
Wow.
I didn't want to use single use
Not
plastic anymore. So that was the only way to ship them and keep them airtight. So now I have soaks, bath soaks, and they're in compostable bags. So just trying to like make those little changes. It was really hard to let go of, but
But I mean, that just goes to show for everybody who's listening what a high integrity product and ethos that Kaitee has. The fact that you are willing to let go of your original product that I have worked in your kitchen and helped you
yes.
make. These bath bombs that you built your business on, but you were prepared to let them go because of the plastic wrap. And I just honor you. You're a really incredible human that you have
Oh my gosh, thank you. I
such
feel
love
like
for
I
the
have a
planet.
long way to go. I mean, as having a consumer like product-based business, there's so many things where you're like, oh, do we need all this stuff? Like, do I need to be selling a literal item? I struggle with it a lot. But everything that I feel like I do create and decide to do, there's really an energetic behind it of that it's helping someone get in touch with themselves. That's kind of like my mission behind it. So I feel like that mission kind of outweighs the, carbon footprint of,
The
yeah,
consumerist,
sending a
yeah.
product out and all the things that go into it.
So as you started to build your business and you were soaking in your bath bombs, and then what was the next product after that you created?
So actually the next part of it was actually adding crystals and minerals to the line. I was always really passionate about crystals and minerals like growing up. I mean, I think all kids are really connected to rocks. It's just something that is tangible. And when I was 5 years old, I was finding rocks in my backyard. We had a old railroad track that ran through it, and there were all these really shiny rocks. And I set up a rock stand and was selling them for 50 cents on my front lawn when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
That's
Yeah,
so
so
cute.
fast forward to 2017, I wanted to go to Tucson and I wanted to go to the gym show and I wanted to add rocks to the line, and I called and told my mom that, and she reminded me of the story of selling rocks and I was little. I didn't even have any recollection of that. But I feel like I'm like meant to be doing something with the rocks. But I dove into all the
Mm-hmm.
minerals, and it's something that comes so easy to me. I can just really rattle off almost anything about any mineral. I have a bad memory, but somehow with rocks and minerals, it sticks. Um,
Yeah, I think you've had a lifetime or maybe many as a crystal whisperer because Katie can tell you any crystal and then she'll look at it and she'll say, "Oh, look at this record keeper and look at this rainbow and then look at this rutilation." And I'm like, "Oh, I love crystals too, but I can't keep up with all the names and all the properties." And I think that your crystal gathering and then selling them, I don't even want to say selling because like you said, it's you're you have this offering that people are receiving and it's actually activating them, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah, and actually I love mining them myself, and that's a big part of where I kind of want Moon Body Soul to go. So in the beginning I really was visiting a lot of gym shows and meeting with a lot of mines, and I was trying to keep it small and like family mines, but I don't know, the crystal and mineral world blew up in the past few years and it's gotten really convoluted and there's lots of stuff out there, and what I'm most called to is the stuff that I'm literally uncovering in the earth myself. I feel like that's just the most exciting for me personally, and then sharing it, it feels really special too. So I have done quite a bit of mining. I held a mining retreat in 2019. I have goals of holding more of those in the future. But unearthing them yourself is like the most fun you can have.
And do you feel that then, how now that you've connected with crystals, have they elevated your own personal healing journey?
Oh, wow. So the way that I really connect with them is through the chakra system. That's just my method, my map of the body. I just love the chakra system. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's the way that I see them. So there's tons of books out there that you can go and look up any crystal and read about it, and it'll tell you, you know, what it's good for. But when it comes down for me is the color. It's all about the color frequency. There's other properties too, like the stone's density and its clarity, things like that. But the color of it to me is just the most powerful and a really easy way to work with them. So that's the way that I kind of connect with them. So actually, right now, while we're talking, I have an aquamarine for my throat chakra. This is what I hold like every moon circle, every podcast interview. So I kind
Mm-hmm.
of address it with the seven chakras and decide like what I'm needing. And it's kind of funny because when I look at my collection, it's like 100 grounding stones. So many grounding stones,
Yeah.
and I feel like maybe that's what I'm
Yeah.
drawn to. Like I need to ground. Lots of dark stones right now.
I'm interrupting this awesome chat to quickly tell you all about the free meditation I've created for peace, presence, and empowerment. It kind of sounds like a big promise, but when you break it down, a sense of inner peace comes from being present because you're not feeling anxious about the past or worried about the future. You're simply with this moment here, right now. And empowerment is also a byproduct of presence because what's the one similarity you notice about the people in your life who have the confidence to ask for what they need and want, not in a pushy or narcissistic way, but in a way that feels genuine, clear, and unattached to the outcome of their ask, which ultimately then makes you more receptive to fulfilling their needs and wants. That's true empowerment. And that one similarity that all those people have in common is presence. So, this meditation is designed to give you a repeatable experience of presence so that you can begin integrating those feelings of peace and empowerment into your everyday life. I'd love for you to try it out, ideally 2 to 3 times a week for a month. I know it's a commitment, but you've got this. And let me know what starts shifting for you once you do. So pop onto our website, avid.co, that's co, not .com, and download your free audio track right now. Yeah, yeah. Have you had any trippy experiences that you feel like might have been brought on by some of the higher frequency stones? Like,
So many.
remember the fluorite you brought to my house that day, and we like held it and both kind of like flipped into another
I
dimension for
forgot
a few
about
minutes
that.
and then just like burst into laughter. And I was like, "Did you
I
feel that?"
forgot
And you were
about
like,
that.
"Yes."
Yes. Yes, I have so many stories about crystals. I can kind of talk about them all day long. One of the ones that I'll share because it's kind of fun and it has to do with my partner Bentley too. I brought home this 13-pound amethyst, this like huge, huge amethyst. And I asked him like, "Hey, do you like this or should I put it up on the site? Like, what do you think?" And he was kind of nonchalant, like, "Oh yeah, it's cool, but maybe you should sell it." And I'm like, okay, well, it's supposed to be really good for dreaming. I'm going to put it right next to our bed. So I put it next to our bed. We went to bed that night. I'm someone who's very active. I have very vivid dreams, kind of like waking dreams. He is not. He doesn't have those. But that night we go to sleep and I wake up. I'm having a waking dream. I see this tree at the foot of our bed and it's huge and it's gold and it's glowing. And I'm just like, wow, that tree is amazing. And then I look over and Bentley's sitting up with his eyes open. And I was like, whoa, do you see that tree? And he's not really hearing me. He's looking though at the foot of the bed and he goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What?" And then we both kind of come to and he said, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
I saw you at the foot of the bed glowing in gold." And I was like, "What?" I saw a
You're like,
tree.
"I was looking at a tree."
Yeah. And so then after that, fast forward a few months, I go hold a moon circle and he's helping me clean the car out afterwards. And he picked up this backpack and I said, "Oh, be careful, that big amethyst is in there." And he was so mad I took it out of the house. He's like, "Why did you take that out of our house? That's our amethyst." He's so connected to it now. But yeah, that's one of the ones that I just love when there's that shared connection. So like you and I having that fluorite thing.
Mm,
Because I feel like most of the time
that was
when you have an
crazy.
experience with a crystal, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is only happening to me and no one else is experiencing it. But I have a couple where
Mm.
they were shared experiences and it feels more powerful.
Yeah, and it kind of validates it for you, doesn't
It
it?
really does.
I know that sometimes, like, I'll pick up a crystal and I can literally feel it's almost like I can feel it vibrating, but I can feel the energy of it going into whatever part of my body that it's kind of what's the word, like connected to. For example, if it's like a rose quartz, I can feel the energy of the rose quartz going into my heart. Do you have experiences like
Oh,
that?
definitely. Definitely. And there's one, so I feel like some crystals, because you're very sensitive, I feel like, to energy. You're just so open. And I'm sure for you, you can't experience that easily, but some people that's really hard. But I feel like a crystal that I get the best response from people is pink halite. If there's ever anybody over at my house that doesn't like believe in crystals or they think I'm wacky, like Bentley's friends, I'll lay pink halite on their belly and the reactions I get from that, like it's undeniable. It's a salt crystal, it's this really beautiful pink, and it just does something to your belly that is, I think the belly button too, this solar plexus is such a powerful place. I mean, it's where we were connected to our mom in the womb, there's so
Mm,
many nerve endings there.
mm,
That's a real fun place to put
mm-hmm.
stones. But that stone specifically, I've opened up a lot of people to be like, whoa, I felt something in
What
that
just
rock.
happened? And what about in your moon circles? So that was something that naturally was an organic, I guess, extension of your business, and you started hosting circles. And I've been lucky enough to attend some when we both lived in LA, and they were always had such a beautiful sacred element to them. Do you feel that the circles you get as much out of the circles as the people who go along with you as a host of the circles? Are you kind of like up leveling at
Oh
the
my
same
gosh,
time?
yes. Yes, yes, yes. They are, I feel like I probably get more out of it than the than the people that join me. They're just so fulfilling for my heart. I just leave every single one feeling like, oh, super grateful, and I just love connecting to everybody. But they're a time that I can really sit and check in because I'm not really teaching at them. That's not the way I hold them. I I just want to be a space holder and provide that opportunity for people to share if they want, or to just have this internal experience where we're bringing up themes of the month and the new moon. But I will say in the beginning, after every circle almost, I would get the worst headache ever. Like it was every circle. It would end and my head would just like be pounding. And I didn't understand it because I was enjoying and having such a good time at these circles. But I've talked with a few energy healers and people that had told me that I needed to learn to like ground and protect my energy, because when I go into those spaces, I'm connecting with every single person and I'm in such an open state. And it seems like when people are sharing too, oh man, sharing in a circle, it just feels really, when I'm hearing people share, I like really am feeling their emotions that they're going through in a way that I don't when I'm outside of a circle. I mean, I'm an empathetic person, but like I feel like in the circle it's
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
And I started trying to really ground. I started containing the circle in selenite as well. And then after the circle, taking selenite and kind of like, I don't know, moving things from my body. You maybe even
Yep.
told me to do this, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's really helped. I don't get the headaches anymore, but they are just so fulfilling. And I think everyone should just hold a circle. If you're like, what is this circle? That sounds awesome. I have a blog on my website called How to Host a New Moon Circle. You don't need anything special. Anyone can do it. And you should just host one and invite your friends or have them invite friends. I just think they're super powerful.
They are, and they're all about gathering. Have you ever had a man come along to the circles? Like, are men allowed, or is it
Yeah.
female
So I have
only?
had a couple men, and I know right now, like, gender is like a very fluid thing, and people identify as whatever
Mm,
they want to. So I don't like to say women only. Um, but there is something about people that identify as women coming together in that space, and it feels really
mm-hmm,
safe to connect as women. So I seem to
mm,
attract a lot of women to the circles. Most of them are all women. Um, and I struggled with like, do I open it to everybody? Like how, how do I want to do this? Because I seen like even some of my friends and my mentors have circles where, it's a bunch of different um everybody's there. And I do think that's great, but I don't know. I feel like my personal energy is really called to connect with women, and I enjoy those spaces.
yeah. And it's the idea of, I mean, women are ruled by the moon, and whether it's a new moon circle or a full moon circle, so either the waxing or the waning moon, for those people, I guess, who have no idea what we're talking about, you gather in a circle, and if it's the waning moon, so the full moon, you talk about what you want to let go of, and then if it's the new moon, is that what's that? The waxing moon? Oh God, I can't remember. The waxing and the waning. Wax on, wax off. But it's all about what you're letting go of or what you're calling in, essentially. But I think there's something really special about, as women, our body clocks are ruled by the moon. We have a monthly cycle, and as we come together, it's a way of, I suppose, honoring
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so maybe that's why sometimes it feels so sacred when it's a bunch of wombs sitting
Yeah, I
around.
think so. I think you're right, because we do have that same internal, clock that's working with the moon. And when it's new, it's waning to new. It's dark outside, it's empty from the sky, and it just seems like a really good time to go internal. So a lot of the work I do at the circle is very internal, but it's a brave space to share with people. I like safe space, but brave space too,
Mm,
because you can voice and yeah, what you want to call in. It's kind of that time where you're in this void of no light, but that's where creativity happens. That's where like creation happens. Like seeds like burst open in the deep soil where there's nothing. And so the new moon for me is like, it's my favorite time. I was born on a new moon. I love the new moon. But that's when you want to call in and you want to create, because it's just that fertile soil time.
oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Can we talk a little bit about
Oh, I'd
psychedelics?
love to.
So, I guess an extension of your journey, I know Bentley was your high school sweetheart. Was that right? Or your university
University.
boyfriend?
We didn't actually date in college though. We met there and I was
Oh,
in love
okay.
with him. Like love at first sight, I believe is a thing because I experienced it.
Yeah.
But then we didn't date. And actually in my mind I always thought like oh, everybody has a Bentley, this person they love but they can't be with. Like that's who he was to me. And then he came around. Just took a few years.
Of course he did. He was never going to let you go.
He claims he told his best friend that he was worried he wouldn't move out to California and pursue his dreams if he dated me. So we'll give him that.
Wow. Well, I guess he got you out to Cali, which I'm so glad about, and on your journey. But this really beautiful, I guess, symbiotic journey that you've both been on, because as you've grown into Moon Body Soul and crystals and opening up, he has really delved into the healing properties of marijuana and hemp and all of those things. And then together, you've both explored psychedelics as well, mushrooms, I suppose, as a healing.
Yes, cannabis, like that is his medicine. Cannabis is his medicine, and he's probably one of the people that knows more about cannabis than most. So his like profession in it is photography and videography, but because of that, we've been into almost every single part of the process of the cannabis plant, you know, from being grown to being smoked. And I
Mm.
feel like it's medicine to him, and it's a really beautiful plant. But then it wasn't until like 2017 or 18 that I got really into fungi and mushrooms, psilocybin. That's what really called me. And he was actually a little standoffish at first about it. Um,
Oh, I thought it was him that got you into it. I didn't realize it was the other way
yeah, it
around.
was. It wasn't until like 2019 that I got him to open his mind to that. Because in college, you know, he experimented with a lot of things. I didn't at
Mm.
all, at all, at all. And then once I first started getting called to psilocybin, I just decided to like read and consume all the content I could around it first. And I would talk to people that had experienced it, and they would try to explain to me what it felt like. But you can't really explain to
No,
somebody.
you can't. You need to just try it.
Yeah, but I did try to read like everything I could. I was very much like, I need to learn everything about it first because it seemed like a wild idea to me at the time. But after having my first experience, I just knew like, wow, this is life changing. And it definitely changed my life. And I wanted to share it. And Bentley said that I wouldn't stop. He was like, you are obsessed. You won't stop talking about it. And then he finally tried it, and it's changed his life too. And we're both really passionate about psychedelics and the decriminalization of them.
So, what do you think actually shifted? Was it, let's say you were running negative mental thought patterning and you feel like it busted through that, or it lifted veils and suddenly you saw the truth, or what exactly shifted for you after that first
Oh,
experience?
definitely lifting the veils. I don't know. So the way that they work in the brain, there's a really good book called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, and he really dives deep into the science behind it. But your brain has all these thought patterns and grooves that you normally would take, um, because it's trying to help you out. It's trying to predict like what's going to happen next, and it takes you down, you know, those thought patterns. But when you do psychedelics and you do psilocybin, it turns off the prefrontal cortex, and it turns off that like automatic, and it lets you see like all the possibilities. You almost feel like a little kid again, where you are so like open minded and creative about everything. And it also lifts this veil of like all of the things that we attach meaning to, and things almost become funny of like, why do we attach meaning to this? Why do we care? And I've had so many laugh attacks about that. Like I'll just laugh and laugh and laugh. That's something I don't know if people who aren't that versed on psilocybin know, but it's a very laughy, sometimes can be a very like laughter induced thing. Yes,
Happy
very
experience.
happy. And uh, my friend Lexi explains it really well, saying like it's the difference between like, oh man, nothing matters, but psilocybin almost opens you up to like nothing matters, and it's like a freeing thing that nothing matters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not an existential crisis. It's actually like nothing matters. I'm free. I can create or be whoever and
Yes,
whatever I
and that was
want.
the biggest takeaway from my first experience was like, wow, like why am I putting these limiting beliefs on myself, or like thinking certain things matter and they actually don't. And it's a really like freeing, mind-opening thing. And I don't think everybody's body chemistry necessarily, like they need to experience psychedelics. I think there's other ways of getting there, like meditation and breath work and other
Mm-hmm.
powerful things. Um, but if you are a healthy person who doesn't have any brain disorders, it can be a really neat experience. Um,
That's so cool. And was your first time, did you do a heavy dose and were you guided through? Did you have someone guide you or did you just microdose?
so I feel really lucky to how my first time went. It was almost perfect for me. One of my friends was getting married and she was holding a bachelorette party, but it was not like any bachelorette party you've heard of. It was very intentional and sacred. And there were about 8 of us women there, and 4 of us really wanted to partake in taking psilocybin. So 4 people didn't, but we all did this in ceremony, and we held a ceremony of creating these really beautiful mushroom chocolates and blessing them with all of the things that we hoped and wished for her marriage. It was so special. And then at sunset, we went outside and sat in a circle, and we called in all these beautiful things for her, and we consumed the mushrooms and sat around a fire together. And it was one of the most beautiful, like heart opening, like laughter, crying, and just such a supportive way to experience that. And we started with a really small dose and then worked our way up. And I mean, I was having the time of my life. It was magical. It was such a great experience. But that was my first experience, and I think having that experience that was so intentional and so supportive of a
Mm-hmm.
container in Joshua Tree in the beautiful desert, it just, yeah, it changed my life for sure.
That sounds like heaven. I'm not surprised that you called in such a beautiful experience and a sacred experience, having researched it for so long, that you called in such a high vibrational opportunity.
Super high vibrational. And that's one of the things that if you are wanting to experiment and try these things out, the setting of where you're at, but also your mindset, so important. So important. So that
Mm-hmm.
just laid the groundwork for me to have a beautiful time.
That's amazing. And speaking of weddings, I believe yours is coming up in a few
Yes,
weeks.
very, very soon. um, so Bentley and I, we got engaged like 2 days before the world shut down with the pandemic. And since then, we've tried to plan our wedding twice. We were planning this like big, beautiful wedding. And then we kind of just like decided we don't care anymore. We are eloping.
That'll be the mushrooms.
Yeah, we don't.
That'll be the mushrooms breaking through all those social ideas of what a wedding should
Yep.
be.
And so just us two, we are packing our bags and going to Italy and having just a ceremony with literally just us two and a celebrant is what they call them in Italy.
Celebrant. Oh, that's really beautiful. Well, we want to wish you all the best of luck for that. And we will put all of Moon Body Soul's details in the show notes so everybody can find you. And a quick shout out to Bentley if anybody wants to have a look at his Instagram, because that's also really cool if you're interested in going into a cannabis deep dive. What is he at? Bentley Rolling? Is that right?
Yep, just Bentley rolling.
I hope this episode has inspired you to keep going on what can sometimes be a tough road to inner peace and true happiness. If you want to dive deeper into what we talked about today, go to thehealingcocoon.co for show notes and all things personal growth. And don't forget, if you're loving The Healing Cocoon, then put that love into action and subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts. And until next time, my friends, let's rise and shine together.